Hello dear students. So let's proceed further with our lecture series on quantum mechanics. Today we will discuss origin of quantum mechanics, derivation of Schrödinger wave equation, what are eigenvalues and eigenfunctions, what is the significance of the wave function psi, and we will also discuss normalized, orthogonal and orthonormal wave functions. Origin of quantum mechanics. Classical mechanics applies only to the macroscopic particles, and also the classical mechanics, it violates the two fundamental laws governing the behavior of the electron. Which were those laws? De Broglie hypothesis and the uncertainty principle. So there was a need of some new mechanics to explain the microscopic particles and also at the same time who take into account these two laws. That is why quantum mechanics, it comes into the picture. And quantum mechanics, it was further Schrödinger and Heisenberg, they independently formulated a quantum theory. Heisenberg used the method of matrices, whereas Schrödinger used the method of partial differentiation. But both of them, both the Schrödinger and the Heisenberg formulations, they give the same mathematical equation. Here we will discuss the Schrödinger wave equation, which is based on the partial differentiation equation. In general, this is the equation: curly square psi by curly x square plus curly square psi by curly y square plus curly square psi by curly z square plus 8 pi square m upon 8 square e minus v psi equal to 0. This is time independent Schrödinger equation, where psi is the wave function, x, y, z are the coordinates, m is mass of electron, h is Planck's constant, E is the total energy, V is the potential energy. Now come, let's discuss this Schrödinger wave equation in detail. Schrödinger formulated a general quantum theory and gave a wave equation to explain the behavior of the electron waves. For that, let us consider a wave produced by a vibrating string. This is a vibrating string which is fixed at both the ends, right? Let y is the amplitude of the wave at any point of wave moving along x-axis. Here we are first only taking the x-axis at any time t. V is the velocity of the wave. Now the kind of this wave motion, it is expressed by the equation curly square y by curly x square is equal to 1 by v square into curly square y by curly t square. Now you can see that here this displacement, this y, it has two variables. One variable is x and the other variable is t. So that means when there are two variables, we always use the method of separation of variables to solve the equation. So I can write that y, it is function of x and function of t, where what are f and g, they are the functions. So first, this function depends only on the position x. So I can write fx, it is equal to a sine of 2 pi upon lambda into x. This is time independent. When time is included, this is a sine kt plus b cos kt. Actually, these are the general equations which are given for the stationary waves, which I am writing here. Okay, now because we are only interested to calculate the time independent equation, because Schrödinger wave equation, which is time independent, in most of the applications it is used. So we will ignore the time part and we will focus only on the time independent equation. That means we will focus only on this function fx. We will ignore this function gt. If this is the case, I can simply write y, it is now equal to a sine of 2 pi upon lambda into x. Now this equation can be used to express the amplitude of a de Broglie wave associated with the moving particle. So replacing this y by psi x, where psi is the wave function of the wave. So here we will take psi x. X means it is moving in the x direction. So that now we can write the same equation. Psi x will be equal to a sine 2 pi upon lambda into x. A is the maximum amplitude of the wave, lambda is the wavelength. Now we will double differentiate this equation. I know that you know how to double differentiate, or I can tell you. Double differentiate this equation means I have psi equal to a sine 2 pi by lambda into x. First I will differentiate it into once it is curly psi by curly x. A is constant, it will comes outside. So inside we will have curly psi by curly x, means we have the differentiation of sine of 2 pi upon lambda into x. Differentiation of this is cos 2 pi lambda upon x, and because this is another constant 2 pi lambda upon x, differentiation of it will be 2 pi upon lambda, as it is constant. Curly x by curly x will cancel out. Then again differentiate it. Now we will differentiate this equation. Again a is constant here. Cos 2 pi of x upon lambda, its differentiation is sin 2 pi x upon lambda. 1 2 pi upon lambda will remain same, it is constant, and differentiation of 2 pi x upon lambda is again 2 pi upon lambda. So in total what we get is minus sign is there. A sin 2 pi x upon lambda, it is 4 pi square upon lambda square. Now what is this equation? This is again our psi. A sin 2 pi upon lambda into x. So in short we can write it minus 4 pi square upon lambda square into psi x. Is it clear? So that means when we will double differentiate this equation, we have, this is the result, minus 4 pi square lambda square into psi x. Now this equation, it represents wave motion in one dimension. Now can we extend it into 3 dimensions? Yes, we can extend it. Here if I am writing psi x, I can write the same equation by writing psi y here. Wherever there is x, there will be y. Curly y square minus 4 pi square lambda square into psi y. With z, we can replace it. So if I add these 3 equations, I can have this result, curly square psi by curly x square. Because when there is psi x, we replace it by psi x, y and z. And for the sake of convenience, I am not writing the total wave function at psi x, y, z. I will simply write it psi. So it will be curly square psi by curly x square plus curly square psi by curly y square plus curly square psi by curly z square, and equal to minus 4 pi square lambda square into psi. Now we know that what is lambda according to de Broglie? H upon mv. We put the value here, it is h square, m square, v square. Let us suppose this is our equation number 9. Now we know that what is kinetic energy? It is half mv square. What is total energy? It is kinetic energy plus potential energy. Potential energy, I am noting here it with V. So kinetic energy will be equal to what? It is E minus the potential energy, that is V. So half mv square is equal to E minus V, or mv square is equal to 2 will come here, 2E minus V. So now what I will do, we will substitute this value of mv square in this equation. Here there is m square v square. 1 m will I will keep it outside, inside I will get mv square. I will replace this mv square by 2e minus v. 2 4s are 8, 8 pi square m e minus v upon h square. So isn't it look like a Schrodinger equation? Yes. So hence it is very easy to derive the Schrodinger wave equation. Schrodinger wave equation, it can also written in the form by just rearrangements. If I will just minus h square upon 8 pi square m. Now I am here replacing the differentiation by curly. Curly means it's a partial differentiation. Curly by curly x square, curly by curly y square by curly z square plus v in is side. Another rearrangement, we know that what is this? This I will also tell you when we will do the thing operators in our next lecture. This is called the Laplacian operator, that I will discuss again. So this is a Laplacian operator. So h square upon 8 pi square m del square plus v psi equal to e psi. The compact form of the Schrodinger equation is 8 psi equal to e psi. What is h? Cap. Cap means it is an operator. So h is the Hamiltonian operator. And Hamiltonian operator is what? This whole value. This is the Hamiltonian operator. Minus h square upon 8 pi square m del square plus v. Schrodinger wave equation, it is a second order differential equation. There can be number of solution of psi, but all are not significant, because whenever we have to solve the value, हम क्या करते हैं, हम psi की different values put करते हैं. And now there are number of values. एक आप value put करते हो, you get one equation. आप दूसरा करते हो, आपके पास दूसरा सोल्यूशन आ जाता है. सो दैट मीन्स यू हैव थाउजेंड्स ऑफ द सोल्यूशंस. बट हाउ कैन वी डिसाइड कि विच वन इज सिग्निफिकेंट? सो फॉर ओनली सर्टेन वैल्यूज ऑफ टोटल एनर्जी द सोल्यूशंस हैव सिग्निफिकेंस. और जिनके लिए सिग्निफिकेंस होता है, दैट वैल्यूज दे आर कॉल्ड द आइगन वैल्यूज and their corresponding wave functions are called the eigen functions, right? So this is very important. Next is, what are the restrictions on psi to be physical significance? psi के ऊपर कौन सी ऐसी restrictions हैं, कौन सी values psi की हैं जो हम significant मानते हैं? The first is psi must be single valued. इसका मतलब क्या हुआ? It means for each of the variable x, y, z there should be only one value of psi. That is what is meant by psi must be single valued. Second thing is psi must be continuous. Psi must be continuous. It means that psi should not change suddenly as its variables are changed. It must be continuous. And third is psi must become zero at infinity. Now if psi is a complex function, what do you mean by the complex function? Complex function means when we multiply psi by psi star, it becomes the complex function. So psi star, it must become zero at infinity. Now only if these three conditions they are satisfied by psi, then only we can say psi is a well-behaved function. Now what is the physical significance of psi? Now psi itself has no meaning. It is not a physically observable quantity. But when we multiply another psi, that is when we square it, it becomes psi square, only then it has significance. How? According to classical mechanics, psi square is square of amplitude. That means it is representing the energy density. But this explanation is not acceptable. Why? Because energy of a microscopic particle is discontinuous. वो तो continuous हो ही नहीं सकती. It is discontinuous. एंड इट इज़ इन द फोटोन्स हैं या क्वांटाज है. इफ अगर हम ये कहें कि जो साइज स्क्वायर है वो एनर्जी डेंसिटी है, बट एनर्जी तो डिसकॉन्टिन्यूअस है, पर हमारा साई क्या है, वो कॉन्टिन्यूअस है. सो दैट इज वाई दिस एक्सप्लेनेशन गिवन बाय क्लासिकल मैकेनिक्स इज अनअक्सेप्टेबल. नाउ अकॉर्डिंग टू आइंस्टाइन सेड साइज स्क्वायर इज अ प्रोबेबिलिटी डेंसिटी. एंड सिमिलरली जो मैक्स बॉर्न है, ही ऑल्सो गिव अ सिमिलर इंटरप्रिटेशन टू साइज स्क्वायर. ही ऑल्सो सेड साइज स्क्वायर as a particle wave. It means along x-axis psi square dx is equal to psi star dx. Wherever there is psi, it is the real value. Psi star means it is the complex value. So that means what is psi square then? That means it is the probability of finding the electron within a unit distance. If I am taking a cube and I'm just trying to locate the electron there, then according to Max Born and the Einstein, it is the probability. Electron can be present anywhere. So this is the same which is according to uncertainty principle. We cannot pinpoint, we cannot find the exact position of the electron, right? So this interpretation is in accordance with uncertainty. That is why it is acceptable, right? I hope it is clear. Now we come to the normalized wave functions and the orthogonal and orthonormal. Now what is normalized wave function? Normalized wave function means let psi square dx or psi star dx is equal to probability of finding the particle at a point x. Then total probability of finding the electron in the entire range must be unity. This is what is called the normalized wave function. So if I have to write down the normalized wave function, I will say psi square dx integral of this is equal to 1, or integral of psi star dx is equal to 1. If I am taking 3 dimensions, I can write the term here d tau. D tau means dx dy dz. So normalized wave functions कौन सी हैं जो इक्वेशन नंबर 1 एंड इक्वेशन नंबर 2 को सेटिस्फाई करते हैं? They are called the normalized wave functions. Let us suppose if value is not equal to 1, then we can simply put, let us suppose it is n. N is a normalization constant. Then how can we find out the value of normalization constant? N will come here. It is 1 by n. We have psi star psi d tau. It means if it is n, can I write it like this also, 1 by under root n and 1 by under root n, because it means 1 by n. So normalization factor is 1 by under root n, and normalized wave function here is 1 by under root n psi. Now what about the orthogonal? Orthogonal wave functions, here we take two different wave functions. That is why I noted one with I, another with j. So psi I and psi j, they are two wave functions having energy values ei and ej. So condition of orthogonality, what it said, it is saying that psi I psi j star d tau is equal to 0, or it can be psi I star psi j d tau is equal to 0. So psi I and psi j, they are orthogonal to each other. So wave functions that are solutions of a given Schrodinger equation, they are usually orthogonal to each other. And orthonormal, as the name is suggesting, orthonormal means if we combine both the conditions which we just discussed, the normalization and the orthogonal, it is called the orthonormal wave function. So combining these conditions, we can write equation psi I star psi j d tau equal to 1. Now this is 1 means this is saying it is normalized, but only possible if I is equal to j. And if I is not equal to j, this is equal to 0, which means it is orthogonal. So when we combine both the conditions they are fulfilling, then the wave function is called the orthonormal wave function. So this is all for the today's lecture. I hope this concept is more becoming understood to you. So thank you.